Yes, they're holding up the flag for north, south, east, west, hills, and rural. So what we're going to do is send them out in different directions. We need 3 people to hold them. So if someone from your area wants to come and grab one, and then head in that general direction as in north, south, east, west. Very hands-on activity for you today. And then this is about you meeting other people. So anyone who's not signed up, we prefer you subscribe to Adelaide Freedom Rally on the website. It takes a lot of time and trouble trying to read email addresses that are handwritten. Then this is about meeting someone in your area so that you can grow your business.
Testing the microphone.
What's up, party people? Great to see so many people here. Where's the parents SA? Look through the parents SA, people. Let's go down with it. Put your hands up, people. Where's the energy? Where's the love? Come on, guys. Get a
But my
polarising society. It's not what we're about. We're about our freedom to choose without consequence.
people, come and sign up. If you'd like to sign, come and see us.
Our freedom to choose our lives, our freedom to conduct our business the way we want to, our freedom to live normal, healthy.
Free signs, we give it away, free signs. You want a free sign? You don't
Go
want.
out and enjoy life and give back, because we all give back as well.
And then Scarborough, like the town, like the song.
Yep.
Media is the virus, people. Media is the virus. Look, my favourite sign. Media is the virus.
I don't have to right. Oh, you alright? Yeah. Well, we did talk about this.
He said, yeah, I'll be out there. But I haven't told him about this meeting in the ground. Okay, I tried to keep this stuff away. But no, don't worry. It's
I hope there's no personal impact because I appreciate you doing it wrong. I did try to be.
you said at the start.
Let's awesome.
I still haven't attached it properly, but
Oh yeah, there's a few things there.
there is, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'll attach it properly when you go.
Oh yeah. Great. Awesome.
Time for everybody. It's overwhelming in so many different ways. In the stories that are coming, the hardships that are being suffered, the lives that are being lost through the vaccination, the restrictions on businesses and activities, the wearing of masks by students. With 0 cases here in South Australia, yet still the Governor-General signs off and rolls all over the state of emergency, which has been imposing restrictions on families for well over 12 months, since May last year. And we are bombarded, we're hammered by this COVID machine, and I really, I've gotten to the point where I'm sure, like many of you, just got to turn the television off and the news off, because it's just such propaganda. So I come to this role after many years, more than 2 decades, being someone who has supported parents and anybody else in their choices around vaccination through Vaccination Information South Australia. So my name is Kathy Scarborough, and I came to that role because of my science pharmacology background way back in 1993. And I did go on and do a graduate diploma in education so that I could teach high school science, biology and maths. So I've had a long journey, both of research and connection with community and hearing stories, and also just following how we come to find ourselves in this position, where I will actually liken it to the domestic violence circle of violence. Do we know that? You know, it's where you know, some sort of explosion and you've done something wrong, but oh no, I'm sorry, please forgive me for exploding, and round we go. So, but this is going around like it's a spinning wheel now. We started with some, moderate language, and now we've moved into some really ramped up, turbo-charged language. So we all know that the PCR test is flawed. We know that it's all contrived, and the more people get tested, the more false positives there are, and the more cases there so-called are. Just have a look at New South Wales and the justification for shutting down a state, going in for weeks and months, and now they can just pluck out of the air somewhere towards the end of September, and then you might be free again. And of course we know that all the fear-mongering, all the deprivation of freedoms, all of the restrictions on movement and activity, all of the mask wearing that prevents us from connecting with others, all of that is to push this agenda of having a vaccine so that we can go back to some sort of normal, still with restrictions. So how people can't see that normal that they're talking about is anything but normal is beyond me when you see the signs. You know, you may or may not be allowed to, but if you're unvaccinated, that's it, you won't be going to events. So they've ramped up the language now when they talk about cases. There's cases, and the fearmongers want you to believe that because there's cases, there's people out there in the community who are at death's door just because they're labelled a case. So I think we were getting a little bit of COVID fatigue. So I noticed just last night they've changed the word cases to infections. So, that's their language. That's the power of the language that they're using. So now in people's head, they're actually seeing sick people. So they've changed it up, the language, to try and ramp up that alarm, especially in New South Wales where they're reporting these deaths. So, death in a 15-year-old boy, children transmitting it. Well, this 15-year-old boy had underlying medical conditions, and the vaccine was available for children in that age bracket with underlying medical conditions. So I wouldn't mind betting that perhaps this kid had had the vaccine. We don't have transparency on any of that kind of data. We do hear about the deaths in the elderly who are, 90 plus and comorbidities, and we're hearing admissions that some of them are vaccinated. We're not seeing any admission that they've replaced annual flu deaths with COVID deaths, which is, of course, another orchestration and manipulation of data for one agenda. So the world being manipulated by World Health Organization directives for over 2 decades. So don't think that there's any smart person at the helm here in ScoMo. There's not. There's just a bunch of puppets, and their egos seem to have really well and truly run away from them, don't they? Absolutely run away from them. And the police are being used incorrectly, indiscriminately. They're being made to do tasks that prevent people from expressing themselves in New South Wales. They're being portrayed very badly. And I want to just say that we have a respectful relationship with SAPOL. We find there's possibly a handful here on the outer, and their entire role for us today is to ensure that when we do march, we're safe on the roads. They respect us. They respect our right to protest, and they hold that line to support us in being safe. So I'm very thankful to SAPOL. It's never been any different, and it's never ever going to be any different in this state. So these infections and this language, if you have to promote something so badly, so hard, with so many rewards, cash rewards, is it going to be good for you? Do you think if there was something here in this jab that was important, that we would have to be bribed to get it? Threatened to get it? That's what they're doing, they're threatening. The language out of New South Wales, when they're going to put 24,000 school-age kids into a stadium, we're all across that little debacle. 24,000 kids. Now we wind it up first of all by saying there's more cases in kids and the Delta strain spread by kids and all of this absolute rubbish that is not backed by one piece of science. Gladys Berejiklian said, oh, the science is all over the place. She said that only recently, and of course it is. It's not science, it's a misnomer. So 24,000 kids, and they're taking them into a stadium. And who was that idiot? Probably the Chief Public Health Officer or somebody. He's going, this is where Pink's saying, and you know, come into the stadium where your idols have performed, and take this golden opportunity to go for gold like our athletes. You know, we've got young policemen there. Please don't be offended, SAPOL, but we don't care what age you are. We don't need to put young funky policemen in charge to herd 15 to 16-year-olds through a stadium where 24,000 are going to be vaccinated. We don't need young nurses and young doctors. We don't need parents being told how to get to the stadium, how to drop them off, all of your options, but just don't come in. And kids, your golden opportunity, take this jab and you can sit your HSC. How did we get here? That's why I talk about that cycle of violence. It's like a spinning wheel at the moment. And it's very, very sad, and it's very inappropriate. It is completely ignoring the myriad of side effects and deaths from COVID jabs, which are experimental, are new technology. They are harming people, they are killing people at a far greater rate of knots than even their fake COVID can do. So my estimation at adverse reaction rate of 3.3 per thousand out of those 24,000 kids, then we should be hearing stories of, 20, 40, 60, 72, 80. We should be hearing stories about how that all landed for them. 2 have died, 2 in a coma. Yeah, we're trying to confirm that. So where is that in the headlines? You're not going to see it for the same reason that you haven't seen the deaths reported in all ages, in the elderly, post-vaccination. How many people know someone who's died from the vaccine? I do. I know 2 people. Right? We're not seeing all of that reported because it doesn't suit the agenda. So turn off your tellies. Don't give in to the fear. We're here today to build community and to support people. A lot of people are contacting me and they are absolutely anxious about losing their employment. There are anxious parents whose kids perhaps have a mask, wearing a mask, and then they're being attacked. We've got actually attacks, and us and them, in the community for people not wearing a mask and complying. Well, I reckon our emergency declaration that just got rolled over for 0 cases, with some restrictions eased, should be enough for us to throw out all masks under all circumstances in every situation. So let's just do that today, people. Let's never, ever wear a mask again. Let's take them off our children. Let's stand up and shout at the school principal puppets. And I have to be, like, in examining this with the restrictions easing, the only reason that our people are continuing to wear masks, I believe, is that Nicholas Spurrier said it would be 4 weeks from such and such a date, and we're not there yet. Anybody think that too? So it's just a little bit of power and control. It's a little power trip, still hanging in there, when really it's a furphy. It is something that has to go, and it should have gone along with all the rest of the restrictions for the emergency declaration. So we're here to support community and give information. There are a range of speakers that will be coming forward to hopefully empower you and give you some tools. And I've got to say, as an organiser of the speakers, there are some amazing people. They will likely go on too long. I will probably be all over the place with my herding of cats up here as per usual. But I want you to all know that we're all coming from the right place. We're all solid people who feel heart for this matter and who are here to help. And I have to say, I really, really appreciate every single person that steps up and stands up for their rights and shares and cares and builds community. Thank you all. How awesome. Elizabeth Hart, I can see you. You're going to come and talk first. She's going, oh no. Elizabeth has spoken previously at some of our rallies. She is an avid researcher into over-vaccination, into vested interests in between media, government. She is regularly published in the British Medical Journal Rapid Responses section. She is the most thorough dissector of all things on this matter that we could possibly hope to have speak. Slightly obsessed, but that's why we're here.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm not very good at these things. I won't go on too long. I just want to give you some snippets of information. One of the things I want to say is, what is the emergency? We've been under an emergency laws now for 18 months. So what exactly is this emergency? 4.3 million people, deaths of 4.3 million people have been attributed to COVID around the entire world in 18 months. Now put that in perspective, there's 7.9 billion people in the world, around 60 million people are expected to die every year. In 18 months, that would be 90 million people. That's just, you expect those people to die every year. Now put that in perspective with 4.3 million. Also keeping in mind that they have done everything they can to beat up the numbers. You got hit by a meteorite, that's a COVID death. Yeah. You know, so we know they've been beating up the numbers. So keep that in perspective. What is going on here? We've got to start asking these questions. And now, as Kathy said, I'm sort of been looking into these things, and my modus operandi is to write letters. And I'm currently writing letters to people in the UK. The UK is a major influence on what has been going on. The Boris Johnson government and SAGE, which is the group of scientists that have been advising that government. And in particular, a key person is Andrew Pollard. He is a scientist who is the chief investigator on the AstraZeneca vaccine trials. He is also the chair of the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation in the UK. That is a massive conflict of interest because he is advising on taxpayer-funded policy while leading a commercial vaccine trial. He's also involved with the WHO, all over it. So this is really shocking. So I've been writing to him, and I'm saying, why are people being injected with COVID injections if they're not at risk of COVID? That is the mass majority of people. They knew from the beginning it was elderly people with comorbidities. If they had just stuck with that and vaccinated them, that would be... When did it jump to injecting everybody? This is insane what is happening. We've got a group of people in Australia out of the Doherty Institute. They are the people who are doing the modelling, which is affecting our lives dramatically. They are the ones who have had us in lockdown since last year, the Doherty modelling. So now I'm going after them, the people at the Doherty Institute. We've got to demand accountability for what is going on. These are the people who've set this rule that 70 to 80% of people in Australia, adults, have to be injected before we will open up. Who are these people? This is what we've got to look into. There are loads of conflicts of interest. I haven't got time to go into it now because I'm not going to go on, but you can look at my website, vaccinationispolitical.net. Catherine might send out some stuff later on. But we've got to pursue this. We've got to bring these people to account. Another scientist or academic who is having a massive influence is somebody called Tony Blakely. He is at the University of Melbourne, and this guy is now saying that children from 5 years old should get injected. So, this is really, really grim. They're going for the children. They knew the children aren't affected. This is the question everybody has to ask. Why are people getting injected with COVID injections if they're not at risk of COVID? And all of you people here, all of the people you're at work, they're recruiting the employers now to do this. Employers are going to start putting the hard word on employees to have these injections. And people have to fight back. Who are these employers to do this sort of thing, right? Why should they be doing this? So these are the questions we've got to ask. Turn it back on them. Why are you forcing these injections on us for something that we're not at risk of? So that's my little bit today. So now I want to introduce my friend Emma MacArthur now. Emma has been doing fantastic work. She's written a brilliant letter to Scott Morrison, bringing up about the pandemic planning that was all thrown out when this happened, when this first started. She's done a fantastic letter about children and lockdowns. She's also going to be looking at the Doherty modelling, and she's done a report with Panda. A lot of people here might know who Panda is. She's done a report on lockdowns. So Emma is doing fantastic work, and here she comes.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Hello, everyone. I've never done this before. I'm terrified. Seeing as we're in the age of experts, I'll give you mine. I'm an unemployed housewife and proud of it. Okay? Those are my credentials. I'm also a very angry, despairing mother of 3. So that's who I am speaking to you as today. I'm going to put a bit of a different spin on things here and talk about the pandemic planning. And it's very easy when you're faced with tyranny to feel really, really disempowered and powerless. That's what people are telling me. So I'm hoping what I've done can give you some tools and some strategies for actually speaking truth to power, because that's what this is about. And I include our beautiful SAPOL officers here who are having a really tough time. This is for them as well, because they went into a profession to deal with rapists and murderers and child abusers. And they are now being asked to fine people for walking their dog and for wearing a nappy on their face. I can only imagine the anguish. I've worked with lots of wonderful police officers, so this is for you guys as well. So, first thing I want to show you. Anybody know what this is? Okay, this is the Australian Health Management Plan for Pandemic Influenza. Okay, it was updated in 2019. Scott Morrison threw it out, locked you up, and decided on a vaccine solution, and that's your only way out. That's what he did. Countries around the world threw these plans out. The WHO threw these plans out, okay? Alright, so my call to you today is to start looking at these and start going to your politicians and asking them some tough questions, okay? We still have democratic rights, and part of that means we can vote these people out, and we need to put them on notice and say, answer these questions or you're out the door, okay? And if we all write a letter, we can kick them out, alright? That's your right. Detail. The basic premise of these plans is that you uphold people's human rights. That's the first thing that we lost. The South Australian plan, the coronavirus plan and the pandemic plan says measures will be voluntary wherever possible, okay? They canned that. They didn't even try, all right? They didn't even try. So the first thing that's gone is your human rights. The other thing that went was all the recommendations in these plans, okay? They chucked them out. I draw your attention specifically, and I will send an email, to Section E, Appendix E, okay? That describes the recommended interventions for dealing with a pandemic, all right? Go and look at them, and you will see that nearly every bloody thing the government has done was not recommended. It gives you a cost-benefit analysis. It tells you why you don't do it. And if you do something, it tells you why you do it, okay? So I really encourage everybody to familiarise yourself with those recommendations and view them through the lens of lockdowns, community mask wearings, school closures, international border closures, internal border closures, okay? Because none of those things should have happened. The evidence says why they don't happen. So if every one of you starts writing to your MP and saying, why are you doing this? Where's the evidence? The evidence they will give you, as Elizabeth's pointed out, is the Doherty modelling. It's crap, okay? What you put in, garbage out. It's not evidence, alright? And there is now a vast body of evidence that backs up why you don't do things, alright? So that's what we need to ask our politicians. As Elizabeth said, I've written to Scott Morrison, the letter's on the internet, use it, copy it, send it, take whatever you like. But read this plan, familiarise yourself, and write some questions. Ask your MPs, ask them, why did you shut the international border? Was it just to look us up so that we had to comply with your vaccine solution? I've asked Mr Morrison that. He fobbed me off with vaccine propaganda. The letter's on my website. I sent it again. He then sent it to the Department of Health. We await their response, okay? So every single, yeah, exactly, Department of Death. I agree.
Yeah.
Every single one of you, if you all wrote to your local MP and put the pressure on them, that's your right. It's a democracy. Ask them the tough questions. If you can't write the letter, use mine. Take anything you want. It's all there, and hold them to account. And if they don't do that, then get them out of office at the next election. And that's it. I'm done.
What's your website?
Humanity at the Precipice.
Thank you. What we will do is put all of the links and resources that are coming from the speakers today through this rally, and we'll put them up on our website as links to the rally so that you'll be able to access them. So the website we do have is AdelaideFreedomRally.com, and it has a subscribe mechanism, and that's very important, because we used to write emails down on paper and I'd be sitting there trying to decipher people's handwriting. So this electronic online subscription mechanism makes life a whole lot easier, and it enables you to get updates and notices about our activities. Also important information, and as I said, the links from today. So we have a speaker now, Maria, and Maria comes to us from the Informed Choices Network, in support of people whose jobs are on the line, I'm guessing. So come up here, Maria.
Kathy. Hi everyone, how's everyone going today? What a great turnout we have. We've got so many young people here today, families, people from all sorts of industries being affected. My name's Maria, and I'm standing here today with Stuart, Andy and Ange. All of us are horrified by what's happening to Australia and what our future holds for us. As a result, we felt compelled and an urgency to do something. This has brought us together to form a group called Informed Choice Network, advocating for individuals and groups who are currently affected by the vaccine mandates. So at the moment it's aged care, it's emergency services, and now they're going after mining industry, defence industry, police force, yes, you guys and your families, and then they're going to roll this out in private industry as well. And childcare. Just look at what's happening in New South Wales. Exactly. We stand for informed choice, bodily autonomy, and medical freedom. We stand together. We have started this grassroots movement because we believe that we need to act now, and we need to act quickly, because the corrupt government is unlawfully going after each one of you. Just based on the TGA report, and I look at this on a daily basis, as of the 18th of August, there were 460 reported deaths. So, as we all know, less than 10% of people report adverse reactions and deaths. So multiply that by 10, you get a figure of about 4,600. And, you know, it's growing rapidly and it's growing daily. Now they're actually even saying, we've got a helicopter. Looks like Channel 7 is going to report us today. Now they're actually saying that only 7 of those deaths is linked to the vaccine.
Oh, really?
So what are the other 453 deaths linked to? So we all come from very professional backgrounds and different skill sets that we bring to the team. Currently we're working with aged care and emergency services, but our tribe is growing slowly, or quickly should I say. This is a defining moment in our history and we need you to stand strong and stand united.
Yeah. Yes.
But more importantly, we need you to stand with us. And we need you to speak out and not be afraid to come forward. Because if we can take action as a group, it's a lot stronger than as individuals. So we need your voices and numbers. If you are currently impacted, please come and speak to us after the rally. Andy has made up some beautiful flyers. It's got our email on there. It's info@informedchoicenetwork.com. And for those of you who have been told at the moment that you will lose your job or you will be moved to a different role because you do not want to inject experimental gene therapy or be part of a human trial. So here are some simple steps that you can take today. Firstly, do not resign from your position. If your manager has contacted you directly to inform you that your position is compromised because you do not want to partake in a human trial, request to meet with them. Make sure this is in writing. Look over your contract and familiarise yourself with your position description and your location of work. I'm sure you already know this. I can guarantee you, also make sure you are aware of the requirements under which you were employed for your skill set. I can guarantee mandatory vaccination was not part of the skill set when you were employed. Ask at least 2 other staff, the more the better, who would be willing to stand with you and attend the meeting. They are your support person. Now, HR or your management cannot decline your support person legally. So go in there and stand together. That way you feel supported. Bring out a vaccination declination form which requests your employer to confirm in writing that the vaccine is safe, liability, and will compensate you for any injury or death by signing the form. They need to sign the dotted line. Now, you are not officially declining the vaccination, you are just requesting them to prove that it is safe. Let us know if you'd like a copy of this and we can provide you with one. Email us. Make sure that you send this to your employer in writing as well. Keep a paper trail. This is very important for the future. Give them a week or a deadline to respond to you by. When you attend the meeting, make sure that you record everything. Take your phone with you. You'll have to request consent. If they deny it, you have your support persons with you. They are your witnesses. At the meeting, questions from your employer. What have I been employed to do? Get them to answer that question. How is my new role where I will be moved to reflective of my position description, as per my signed employment agreement? Again, mandatory vaccinations won't be part of that. Refer to the termination clause. Where does it refer to mandatory COVID-19 vaccines? Provide them with a copy of the vaccination declination form and ask them to sign this based on all the listed obligations pertaining to the vaccine. If they agree to sign it, tell them you're booking your vaccination straight away. Your representation to be able to file class action. If you are a skilled lawyer and are wanting to fight the right cause, please come forward. We would like to work with you. Or if you know anyone, please let us know. Come speak with us, tell us your stories, and we will give you our contact details. Now, just one last thing that I wanted to mention today that I've asked Kathy about. So we want to convey a very strong message when we march today. And sadly, most people still do not realise they've lost their freedom. So it's important we communicate a very clear message. My suggestion is that we say, stop vaccine genocide. Stop vaccine genocide. Stop vaccine genocide. Vaccine genocide. Vaccine genocide. Excellent, thank you guys.
Sharing our messages for freedom, sharing our messages for bodily integrity. There's also a megaphone here that needs to be picked up by someone, and let's see if we can keep those messages going right the way down through the line. Okay, we don't ask for much.
Yeah, I know. Too many people.
No, not enough.
Oh yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
The legitimate question is, why would any police officer object to your constitutionally protected right to protest if they don't see their role as one of protecting citizens, upholding the law, affirming their God-given rights, and why are they there and why did you sign up? Today's generation of police officers are deliberately trained not to know or understand their public duty, so they have no more business being in their profession than my student social worker who never should have passed or qualified for her degree. Yet now she works with families and child protection. So, hide your kids. Anyway, on that note, I will leave it there, and I'm particularly interested to hear of any people who are in their profession and being harassed, intimidated or bullied. I was once a former National Secretary of Whistleblowers Australia, so I'm happy to talk to people confidentially, privately, and help you work through your issues. Thank you.
Okay. So, apparently up the back couldn't hear quite so well when there's a soft speaker. We've now obviously I've pulled out my loudest speaker just to rebalance the universe and get the energy steady again. So Tim Dwyer will be coming up to speak, and I just wanted to share, because Matilda is talking about a dumbed down education system. So I mentioned earlier I did science, but microbiology has been rewritten from actual sensible explanations as to the, you know, the complex biome that is human beings. And of course, we know that if the common cold, of which coronavirus is part of that spectrum, was so deadly, there would literally not be anyone standing here, because we would have never, ever made it as a human race. Yet, while that's my learning back in 1982, you know, I've seen more recent textbooks that would suggest that our microbiology is entirely dependent upon vaccines, and our immune system in and of itself is incapable of mounting an immune response, and will require multiple vaccines with boosters going into eternity. It's not a sustainable model unless you're a pharmaceutical company. And if you're a pharmaceutical company, it's just a blank check. It's just a slush fund that keeps renewing and renewing while we kill people with these dangerous jabs, and they just keep rolling them out and telling us nothing to see here, that really wasn't a blood clot that killed them, ain't gonna happen to anyone else. It's actually just a huge money-making machine that will keep people sick from the adverse events from those vaccines, whereas most of us, before this even started, would have had contact with coronaviruses as part of our normal environment. Most of us, before this even started, would have a natural immunity spanning all of the strains, because we're talking about microscopic, not even measurable differences between one strain and another. So we've got natural immunity. We don't need a vaccine. In fact, a vaccine can be dangerous if given to someone who already has mounted an immune response. So it kind of melts down the immune system. We'll find that on the list of adverse reactions too. So, dumbed down through university where microbiology doesn't teach that anymore, dumbed down in high school, so dumbed down. You would think that there was no alternative but the medical model. Not a word about treatments, obviously, and we're all dealing with that. There will be some resources on the website about ivermectin, which can be prescribed by your doctor. It is legal to be prescribed ivermectin, and we've got some resources for you to encourage you to go and have that conversation with your doctor, because of course for this fake virus and this dangerous vaccine, well, any need in the warped minds of the people making the gazillions should certainly go out the window if your 99.9% chance of survival is further supported by a well-known and successful treatment. So here we go. That was a long introduction. That was all about Tim Dwyer.
Hey everybody, how you doing? What an amazing turnout we have here in Adelaide today from all over the state. Give yourselves a hand. Woo! All right. I want to say thank you to the boys and girls in blue that stand at a distance, and I sincerely hope that you pay attention to every word spoken here, because despite your uniform, your family and yourself are not immune from what is coming if we allow this tyranny to keep on keeping on. So stand back, boys and girls, it's going to get real. Ladies and gentlemen, many years ago Mahatma Gandhi said, and I use it as a quote, that civil disobedience becomes duty of all men when the state leaders become corrupt. It is our duty to disobey. You are performing the duty that is bestowed upon you by the Constitution of this country. And by God Himself. Let me share a few things with you. I've got to be a bit quick. So let me get this bit. I listened to Cole Stringer. Most of you don't know who Cole Stringer is. He wrote a book about the Light Horse Brigade. And the Light Horse Brigade Memorial is just over here. And it's where 800 Australian horsemen took back the Holy Lands for the first time. The 11 Crusades couldn't do it. Napoleon couldn't do it. But 800 Australians, outnumbered 8 to 1, they did it. You did it. Your family did it. Your history says we win. And what he said was, gentlemen, before you mount your horses, understand, we are 3 steps from the very gates of hell. Ladies and gentlemen, this nation, the world is 3 steps from the very gates of hell, driven by ungodly, soulless creatures. Nowhere in the world has any government agency, health agency, been able to identify a purified version of a thing called COVID-19. Under the Freedom of Information Act here in South Australia, the South Australian Government Health Organisation has not been able to present a purified version of COVID-19. Therefore, they have nothing to test their samples against. In New South Wales, it is the same. In the ACT, it is the same. In Western Australia, it is the same. The CSIRO does not have a purified version of a thing called COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, the TGA doesn't have it. Nobody's got it. Why? Because it just does not exist. So to that point, it is my belief, just my belief, and I want to share my belief with all you people here. And I'm not telling you, you've got to believe what I believe. I believe you. But I'm telling you what I believe, and I believe that the entire world is under a spell. It was under a spell when Hitler and Mussolini did their thing. The world was under a spell, and it's under a spell again today. And let me explain how I come to that. You see, what happens is, if you look at something in the natural and you try and work out by logic why it's happening, and it doesn't equate, logically you can't make it work, therefore it must be spiritual. I'm not telling you what sort of spiritual thing you've got to do, but I'm telling you from my belief, I believe that we're under an attack from the most evil source imaginable. When you see the majority of people blindly obey, and Kathy mentioned it before about the education department, let me explain something. Of the 43 countries in the OECD, Australia's education system is number 41. Romania and Turkey are the only places in the OECD world that has a worse education system than what we do, and you wonder why we have a dumbed down political system. Oh my God. Now, why would you have, if we weren't under a spell, why would so many people stay at home when they were told? Why would they close their businesses when they were told? You've got to ask yourself a question. Can you actually trust the public service and the politicians? Can you trust them? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Can you trust them? No! They tell them not to go to church. Now, we've got a minister coming up to speak in a minute. Yes! And I'm so glad this man is here. Right? When the churches close the door, it is my belief that they have bowed down to man and forgotten who is God. That is the thing. You see, when they tell you to keep your children out of school, when they tell you not to go more than 5 kilometres from your house, when they tell them to take medical tests that are repeatedly dangerous, they tell them to wear masks and restrict oxygen and cause lung disease. Can you trust the politicians and the public service? You know, when they destroy our traditions, I'm a proud Australian. I love this country to the point I will stand here, and if they come for us, I will be the first man to bleed if necessary. I hate violence. I hate violence, but I will bleed for this country. Right? But when they take away Anzac Day, can you trust them? When they shut down Easter, can you trust them? No! When you shut down or restrict Christmas, can you trust them? No! Will you ever trust them? No! Never. Now the governments are going after your children. They're going after the police officers' children. They're going after everybody's children. They are gutless cowards that hide in ivory towers. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to make a resolve long before the day comes in your heart where you stand. Do not stand either side of the line. You'll get bowled ass up. Make your decisions before the time comes. Like I said, it is my belief the whole country is under a spell, and we have to break the spell. We've got to break the spell. The whole world, it says in the book of Revelations, and don't get me confused with a Bible scholar, that I'm not, but it says in the book of Revelation, for the whole world will be deceived by pharmakia. Pharmakia is the root word for pharmaceutical. Pharmakia says it is sorcery, potions, witchcraft. Do you know who you're dealing with now? Understand who you're actually up against. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Collins Dictionary, fairly reputable book, everybody's got one, no one's read it. Anyway, according to the Collins Dictionary, there's a thing called meticide. It is the destruction or undermining of a person's mental independence in order to alter his or her beliefs. The systematic effort to undermine and destroy a person's values and beliefs by the prolonged interrogation or programming, torture, stay at home, lose your job, be stressed, to induce a radically different ideals. Meticide means to murder the mind, and your government is doing that. Can you ever trust them ever again? I want to finish with this. There's an old saying that says the hand that rocks the cradle forms the nation. Who's rocking the baby's cradle? Well, daycare is. Who's in charge of daycare? Well, the government is. We have been hoodwinked, dumbed down, corralled and lied to for decades and generations. The hand that rocks the cradle forms the nation. And you see, it's one of these things that if you don't take control and hold your babies tight, protect your children, protect your husbands and your wives, if you let the evil sneak into your heart, it'll take your children like a snake in the night. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to tell you how to pray here, but I want you, within the next 24 hours, to find some method of meditation or prayer and protect your family. Pray against, we don't need some suki la la dee God, please look after me. We need hellfire and brimstone, hot rocks to toss back at them. We need to stand up. You need to stand up. We are South Australians. We are proud. We will not be meticide. We will not be controlled. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Tim Dwyer and I'm so pleased to see everybody here today.
Thank
Tim Dwyer how to rile up crowds. My daughters are far too old to be going to any kind of school. The youngest is 28. But, you know, parents who have had to, like, drop kids at the gate for the last 12 months, QR code, sign in, not being allowed in the classroom. I mean, how have they gotten away with that separation? They get away with it because you'll be judged if you don't comply. Somebody will jump on you. And the schools are well and truly in the hands of SA Health, we all know that. They've been cultivating schools for such a long time with school vaccination programs, and those things are not minor. They're not just a minor disruption. They're quite involved these days with several vaccines over several year levels. So SA Health managed to get away with this mask wearing, even though it's not part of the emergency directive, because the schools comply, the principals comply. Okay? The teachers have been made into zealots, like everybody, so they're not teaching anything about informed choice or risk. They're teaching that if you're not returning a positive yes tick box consent form, then your parents couldn't care less if you died. So they've been doing that. I know they've been doing that for a long time, because my eldest is 35 and that happened. Those words were said to her when she was in year 6. Okay, so that's a while ago. So that's how they get away with it, by cultivating schools. But they're administrators. They've managed to administrate complex immunisation programs on their campuses. So now they administer QR codes and everything else. Anyway, find a buddy at your school. Find a bunch of buddies at your school. Find a bunch of them and go together and go through those gates. Rip down the QR codes. Rip up the masks. Stand in front of your principal and demand some humanity. Demand that your children can breathe. Demand that they're not being fed lies. Lies about coronavirus pandemics. Lies about vaccines. This shift to kids. We got kids on the news last night. Right, got to turn it up. We can't wait for the vaccine. It's all been very, very carefully cultivated for such a long time that the children believe firmly that all they're doing is for the greater good. Well, it's not. It's not. Where will future generations come from with the fertility of generations impacted by Gardasil vaccine and now COVID vaccines, if they make it through the myocarditis? So, Peter Harris is going to have a word. He's from AusReps. Just a quick word, and I know we're going over with the speeches, but we'll try and get through in the next 20 minutes and then we'll march.
Thanks, Kathy. In August last year, my wife and I were walking and we heard a lunatic say over the airwaves that he was going to make it mandatory for every Australian, man, woman and child, to be jabbed by an experimental drug that had not been approved anywhere in the world and had not apparently even been invented yet. He's a lunatic! We're not the lunatic French. It's right there in Canberra. And at that time we decided that we were going to make a stand. And 24 hours later, because he got beaten up on social media, he changed his mind and said mandatory as possible, which is his code for as coercive as possible. And so at that point, we made a decision that we were going to stand against the lunatic. We all have to stand against the lunatic who started this. Friends, we should not even have to be here today. We should not have to be standing up for our medical choices and freedoms. We should not be having to stand up to fight for our democracy. We should not have to do any of this other than a lunatic in Canberra who calls himself the Prime Minister. I've dealt with Prime Ministers in the past, and Prime Ministers do not do what Scott Morrison is doing to this country. Political parties are meant to be here to serve the you in your electorates. But what we have is this paralysis across our country, across all government, across all parties, that says we're going along with the narrative. This country is in peril. It's not just our medical freedom. It's not just our democracy. The future of our nation, the future of our children is in peril. Law enforcement needs to protect the people from this tyranny. The army needs to protect the people from this tyranny. We are seeing political leaders break the law at the drop of a hat. The National Cabinet should never have been allowed to have been established for them to have their secret meetings. I have requested Stephen Marshall through Freedom of Information for their agendas, for their minutes, for their notes, to find out what they have been plotting against the Australian people in the last 15 meetings that they have held. Friends, my beautiful wife has organised tens and tens and tens of thousands of letters to go to federal politicians over the last 6 months. We have travelled the nation. We have run the stand-up program across the nation to over 6,000 people, begging Australians to stand up and fight for their future and fight for their democracy. At Easter time, after travelling around the nation and seeing the division in our society, seeing how our families have been ripped apart, seeing in every policy area of government how corruption and self-interest has dominated our politics for too long, and I decided to start a new party called Australia's Representatives. I did this before federally with Family First, and we're going to do it again. But it's a much bigger job this time, because now we have to bring down the two-party system of Labor and Liberal in the lower house. Today, we need to bring down the tyranny, the totalitarianism of the Liberal and Labor Party and take government back. The only way to get rid of this is to change the government where they govern in the lower house. And we're also, and I'm announcing today, we're coming after the Liberal government in South Australia as well. We're coming after
And breathe. There's a lot of passion, but never a truer word was spoken than just now. We've got to get rid of the puppets on both sides and put good people in who actually do what they're elected to do, which is to represent people in their communities, and not have people being fobbed off with formal letters just saying, oh, we hear your concerns and you can go bugger off because we're not doing anything about it. And we're all living in that world. I've got Danielle, and we are getting close to being ready to march. Danielle is an aged care worker, and she's been communicating with me for a while. But this is a sector that has been particularly distressed because a lot of choices were taken from them right from the get-go May 1st last year in terms of working in centres without flu vaccines, without meeting flu vaccine requirements. And also, of course, these are the people that are masked day in, day out, you know, and suffering the health consequences. And then you throw in on that the likelihood of termination of employment or the threat of termination, and you've got a really disrupted and anxious sector. Danielle's going to be a couple of minutes, and then we're going to finish with one last speaker, Barry. Hello everyone, this is Danielle. Make some noise! That's what I want to hear! Come on! 35 freaking years of my life, and I cannot believe we are dealing with World War III.
child. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your mum and dad. Because I'm standing for my child and that we all deserve to live free. So please fight. Fight. I love you all.
So, Pastor Marion Manuel is going to have a few words.
Thank you very much. How many of you believe in miracles? Well, today, right now, you're going to see a miracle. A pastor is going to be the shortest speaker of any of those people.
He's smiling at me, I like him.
A little bit of research thinking about what I want to say today. And looked at the Human Rights Commission website. And they have a question. What are the Commission's concerns about what is happening? Very interesting to read. The Commission is concerned at the lack of transparency in explaining the continued justification for some emergency measures, and even for identifying which level of government is responsible for some measures. Some of the decisions were put into legislation, others were introduced in other ways, which means they cannot be easily reviewed, and they don't automatically require independent human rights scrutiny at the time of the decision. This means any human rights scrutiny happens after the measure is already put in place. The checks and balances that ordinarily exist are important to our democracy. Without appropriate transparency and accountability, there's a real risk of Australians being exposed to unnecessary restrictions of their rights and freedoms. And that's exactly what's happening, isn't it? We are standing for freedom today. We may have diverse views on a lot of things, but freedom is our primary concern. The freedom to be, the freedom to choose, the freedom of conscience, the freedom to not believe, the freedom to believe, the freedom for me to practice my faith, for others to not have faith and not practice it. It's all been taken from us in what is happening. These restrictions on our freedoms concern us because this is where our politicians are heading. They love power and they are not going to give it up easily. Don't think for one moment when we all get the jab it'll all suddenly stop. I don't believe that. You know, listening to the TV you hear things like health professionals saying don't talk to your neighbour. Dob your neighbours in who broke the rules. All workers at Qantas must be vaccinated. We are working towards a vaccination passport. And then the most laughable was, if you go to the football, the ball comes into the crowd, don't touch the football. All these sentiments deny our freedom and the freedom of conscience. What are we to do? Well, I want to suggest this to you, that on the political realm, I've been involved in emails, talking to politicians. Earlier this year, I was part of a march against the abortion to birth bill, and I don't care what you think about abortion issue. But over 5,000 people on a wet Saturday morning marched. We'd sent petitions, emails, met with politicians. A survey was done of 30,000 people, and 60%, over 60% of South Australians were against the bill, and it was overwhelmingly passed. They're not listening to us. So what do? The one thing politicians listen to is votes. They will listen to that. So we're in a very, very good place. We have an election in the state early next year and federally. So we contact our parliamentarian. We ask them, what do you believe about freedom? What do you believe about human rights? What do you believe about the vaccine and those things? And if they're in favour of it, you don't vote for them, and you tell them you will not vote for them. Now listen to that. As a Christian pastor, I'm really disturbed by the senseless restrictions put on people of faith. A few weeks ago, we were not to sing. 25,000 people were at the Adelaide Oval watching a football match. They could stand up, yell, scream. That was okay, but we couldn't sing in church. Then, now we can sing, but we have to wear a mask. Have you ever tried singing with a mask? Try it. Put it on, Stephen Marshall, and have a go. Go to the football this next week because he's a Port Power fan, and put a mask on and yell for the power. It'll be pretty squeaky, won't it? How ridiculous. And yet that's what we are being infected with. I listened to a young woman on television about 3 weeks ago running a business in Victoria and how difficult it was for her. She said 2 of her friends running a business had committed suicide. 3 more were in danger of losing their homes. They couldn't pay their mortgage. This is what this tyranny is doing. You could multiply that over and over again and over again. But you see, for me, my hope is in God. My hope is that God can change things, change the hearts of people and the hearts of our politicians. I trust in Jesus. And I pray with the Orthodox Christians, Lord, have mercy on us. Lord, have mercy on Australia, for we need it. We've lost our way. Our politicians don't know what they're doing. As we've heard today, you've heard all the rhetoric. You know it. So, Lord, have mercy on us. And as I close, because I said I'd be the briefest, and you can trust a pastor to do some things, although I've often said to people, when a pastor in his sermon says, finally, you know, don't believe it. I would like to close by inviting those of you who are comfortable to join with me in the great prayer of the Christian church called the Lord's Prayer. And we'll pray that prayer. If you're comfortable, if you're not, just stand there, look around, enjoy the beautiful trees and the sunshine. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day. As we pray this prayer, I'm praying it for Australia and for the people of Afghanistan who are suffering so terribly at the moment. So will you join with me? Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Why is it I want to say faster, pastor? Oh, for a laugh, clearly. Raina is going to come up. She's promised she will only be a couple of minutes, and we're calling everyone to rally and march now. So after Raina's finished, we will be heading up to the top corner. For those of you who were here July 31st, we did North Terrace and then King William Street and then came back down Grenfell Street. This will give us an opportunity to shout out to the Governor-General. This will give us an opportunity to shout out to SA Health, go past the Medi Hotel, and it will give us an opportunity to shout out to a lot of small businesses our support, and also people will see us. We're not going to Parliament House because there's no one in Parliament House, and even if they were in Parliament House, it would essentially be pointless anyway, I think we all agree.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, thank you all, the great speakers. You've been absolutely amazing, as usual. Okay, hello Adelaide, again. I'm so proud to be an Adelaidean. We're always here to support each other. It's so good to see you all out here standing up once again. Now, who here can feel the tide turning? I can. Politicians are stepping up. Lawyers are working behind the scenes and challenging bad directives and unlawful fines. Record numbers are attending rallies. I'd have to say I think this is probably Adelaide's record rally in numbers. Well done.
Come back next week.
The government literally cannot give these jabs away, offering incentives at every corner.
They're expiring.
If this was truly a magical solution to a disastrous situation, we would all be lining up.
No way.
You wouldn't need to coerce, lie, or pay us to do it.
I'd rather get a bullet.
They know they are fighting a losing battle and are pulling out whatever stops that they have left. So keep standing up, patriots. Your bravery and commitment will get us through this. This is a team effort, and I'm so glad to be on your team. United we stand, united we win. So let's bring it. And I do agree with Tim Dwyer. We are under a mass sleeping spell.
It's true.
I did this at the last rally, and I just want to do it today because the crowd is so much bigger.
And Trump did win.
Yeah!
Won.
2024.
We are not taking part in this ceremonial circus. We will not be masked to hide our smiles and to silence our voices. Our children are not yours to corrupt or to steal their spirits.
My child, come out of me.
We see you. The veil has been lifted. Your evil intentions are on display for all to see. This sleeping spell is broken. Humanity has awoken. Our bodies, our minds, and our souls have been set free. Now, if everyone can just repeat after me.
We stay free.
Just a prayer and some words of manifestation. So repeat after me. We are sovereign.
We are sovereign.
We are free.
We are free.
Your evil plans.
Your evil plans.
Do not scare me.
Do not scare me.
For we are many.
We are many.
And you are few.
And you are few.
As you drown in lies.
As you drown in your lies.
We will rise in truth.
We will rise in truth.
Your new world order.
Your new world order.
Has come undone.
Has come undone.
The freedom of the people.
The freedom of the people.
Is already won.
Has already won.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. I love you people.
Ron DeSantis.
I love the people.
Look, we're going to do that loop of the city spreading our message, and then we will be back here. There's about, I can't even count the number of people that have come up to me also wanting to speak today, and we didn't get to everybody.
Sorry.
We need now some help up the front here with the large banners to carry on our march. Police will be blocking off an entire lane, I'm told. Also, some muscle to carry the portable PA, please. Anybody with height and muscle? And
Charlie.
I can text it. Please come.
People giving up the right to own firearms. My body, my choice.
Behind the shots, the police car starts, then you can follow him behind, alright? Yep.
Who's got the PA system? My body, my choice.
My body, my choice.
My body, my choice.
Okay, we're coming up to Government House in a little while. We're going to say hi. Stop for a minute. I've slowed you down too much now, so we're going to stop there. Keep it marching.
My body, my choice. 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 No vaccine mandate. No vaccine mandate. We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom.
Fuck you, Masons.
We want freedom.
That's right.
Is that the Freemasons?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go join. They say if you can't join them, you can't win.
We want freedom.
Is that where they do their rituals?
We want freedom. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. We want freedom. We want freedom. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom.
We support small business. 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 No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more restrictions. No more restrictions. No more masks. No more masks. We support small business. We support small business. No more lockdowns. No more lockdowns. No more lockdowns. No more lockdowns. No more restrictions. No more restrictions. No more masks. 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 No more lockdown. No more lockdown.
No more toilet paper.
No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. Stop vaccine genocide. Stop vaccine genocide. Say no to ScoMo. No more lockdown.
Stop poisoning our children.
Stop poisoning our children.
My body, my choice.
My body, my choice.
We do not consent.
We do not consent. We do not consent. We do not consent.
We want freedom. We want freedom. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more. No more vaccine. No more vaccine. We want freedom. 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 We are not your guinea pig. We are not your guinea pig. We are not your guinea pig. We will not be your lovers. Stop vaccine genocide. Stop vaccine genocide.
Stop vaccine genocide.
Stop vaccine genocide.
ScoMo must go. ScoMo must go. ScoMo must go. Leave our children alone. Leave our children alone. Leave our children alone. Leave our workers alone. Leave our workers alone. Leave our business alone. Leave our business alone. No more lockdown. No more lockdown. No more restrictions. No more restrictions.
Well, we don't want to wear your masks anymore, government. What do we want?
Like every normal human being, we have to look after our back end. Apparently our back end is falling behind, so I'm very concerned about my back end.
Everyone look after your back end. Yeah. It's important to your health.
So, just waiting for people to catch up. Just for those of you around and who were passing, who were listening to us, we're very grateful for the support of South Australian Police, keeping us safe, blocking off half the road for this enormous representation of people dedicated to life. Now, how's my back end going? Let's start moving on.
Imagine all the people.
What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it?
No more masks!
YouTube! YouTube!
No more lockdown!
We can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Can't reach a lift.
Can't reach Medical freedom! Medical freedom! You are!
I'll mediate you, dumbass.
His name's John. Funny name.
No idea. Yeah.
Freedom, beautiful people! I know.
So good, isn't it?
Fresh air. And it's yours, yes. Yeah, would you like
My sister, we're going to rock them up. No, but we do. You don't love it. I love these people. Look at these guys. They're willing to stand there. We will. Looking so silly for us. You know what? And I'm sure they go something better than for us. So the intent is there. It's an A. Execution is a little bit off. Hey, you've got to give it security. It's not to make a mask. I don't know which one, but it's in there somewhere. You know, and these bits of
When you comply, that act of small compliance, how are you going to stand up when someone comes knocking at your door trying to inject you, right? How are you going to stand up if you can't stand up now and throw away that face diaper? We have to take these small stands now. For if we don't, it's all over. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, Kath, I'll just pass that to you. I just want to pass on something that came through the Informed Choices Network, which was about if you're in a conversation with your boss, you have every right to record that conversation with or without consent. Is that correct?
Yeah. The 1972...
Just really quickly, I just wanted to, after Maria's talk regarding your workplace and if you've got issues, and this is everyone, this is across the board. So in this state, South Australia, the 1972 Surveillance and Devices Act, so you can look that up, but it's in there, there's a clause in there that you can record any crime that you suspect is being committed or is being committed. You do not need consent. If you're approaching your employer, your boss or whoever, cops, whatever, you do not need consent if there is a crime being committed. So you walk into your office with your boss and you have your bloody phone recording, right? Because we need the evidence to stop this tyranny, and that's what it is.
Thank you. Protecting your lawful interests. All right, thank you very much again, everybody. I think that's about a wrap on today. But we are Adelaide Freedom Rally. It's very important to look us up if you're not already on our email list at adelaidefreedomrally.com. Hit the subscribe button. Rest assured there's a lot of comments come through, there's a lot of requests that come through, and we respond to them because our goal is to build this community, to share information, to network and to support people. And it's really, really important that we are supporting people. So in South Australia, I repeat, we've been quite fortunate to not have the draconian measures ongoing that they have had interstate, but nevertheless the consequences already so far to our community have been loss of job, loss of business, loss of career trajectory, loss of education, loss of family, and so much more. Domestic violence has gone through the roof. I shudder to think what that is like interstate under lockdown. Suicides have gone through the roof. I shudder to think what that would be like interstate where they're going through these prolonged lockdowns. Food banks are stretched to the max, trying to provide food for people in need, and that's only going to get worse the more that people are targeted with restrictions on the way their business operates, with their jobs and vaccine mandates. So it's really important to be connected as a community. We offer AdelaideFreedomRally.com and a subscription in order to do that. We'll keep you in touch, we'll keep you connected, and please reach out. Please reach out to anyone when you are in need. I want to just one last thank you to this wonderful community. You're the best people. You're my community. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased to see so many out of here. We'll be here for a little while if you want to meet people and network and connect with more people. There's no hurry to run off. Of course, a lot of us, myself included, will be going straight over that way into the CBD to support small businesses and finally eat something today. So, because it's the central business district that suffered the most while people have been working from home. We all get that. So, thank you. I know we don't want this to ever end, this gathering. Hug each other, smile, be there for each other. We'll see you next time, and that no doubt will happen before too long. Take the advice and let's see if we can have some influence on the decisions being made, but particularly on the decisions being made by our loved ones. Alrighty, someone has to shut me up sometimes. Yeah. Thank you.